We're back. Hopefully everything is transmitting according to plan. Went through a little heat wave. It's not the hottest place in California. It gets hotter. It gets hotter in Phoenix, Arizona. We're not bragging or asking for sympathy, but when it's 107 and you're trying to do some work and there ain't no breeze, it's a little prohibitive of production.
Well, and the camera doesn't work. The phone overheats.
There's that too.
Yeah, so we literally cannot do anything.
Yeah. But you never know. Someday we might step on us. So yeah, we're waiting on parts on Jamie's Jeep. We're gonna get back to whacking on the Cadillac. This part here is going to be a very interesting transition. And since it's very hot today, and I don't feel like welding or grinding or sweating too much, we're gonna leave the doors open and work on the English wheel with some steel.
Ooh.
So Sir William Longyard, who gave me the lessons, he also gave me some tools, and we covered this on the TV show, but I want to revisit it because I haven't really touched those tools since then. So his advice to me was, you know, you're doing all this stuff using pieces of Volkswagens and you're forming shapes, etc. Use the tools I'm giving you and the knowledge that I'm sharing and just make your own parts from scratch. So this is going to be the most complex part I've ever tried to create. And like the first tries with the fender on this project, I might mess it up, but here we are. So he said, take yourself a sheet of paper. And that's going to give you a good idea, just a rough layout of what you can accomplish. We welcome the breeze.
It's like a clothes dryer.
I'm not shutting that door. So if you're trying this, or if you're not, it's just entertainment, check this out. Fella gave me these magnets specifically for this type of thing. He said, you know, when it's windy in your shop, and you're putting down your template paper, use these cool little magnets. So see, this is what the steel is going to do if we just lay it on here, right? But we want to form that so it's looking curvy like the fender. And I don't know if this is possible, but imagine if we get this to break. So it's like a puff, and then it rolls out. Like that comes down into the fender through here. Does that sound like a long shot to you? I bet Mr. Longyard says, nope, not if you follow the instructions I provided. So I'm tracing around our shapes here. You know, ideally this would come up and transition into here, right? So we want this portion to come up. And that is kind of like, I don't know. We're going on a ride. Uncharted territory. Got some scissors. Where did I put those scissors while I was showing off so hard?
Oh, they're there.
See? That's called foreshadowing. Why is he walking and not running with scissors? It's the great art of storytelling. Like Christmas morning up in here. There's wrapping paper everywhere. And just like when I do bodywork or fiberglass, the professional metal shapers are probably going to have a good chuckle at this. But that's where it all starts, somewhere. Make a little note to self so we don't dyslexic it. Top. All right, when we get a piece of steel, we might not be able to come this full curve down. We might have to stop it here, but he said make a template, add a little bit, just so you have more than you need, and use these marks as your forming diagram. Got enough? Ooh, yes, we do. It's going to be so close. No, we're going to use this because that's what we got. What do you think? Yeah, let's try it. Because that way, I really don't see nailing this the first try. Just between us. Between us and our viewing audience.
And 100,011 subscribers. Thank you guys.
Everybody wants to use terms like the metal master. Oh no. You saw me screw up a few things. We're going to do it wrong once again. Put on the Beverly shear. There's this guy on Instagram. I think it's Seppi. I'm not sure. S-E-P-P-E. He's building this like Porsche prototype kind of car out of aluminum. Unbelievable. No body filler. Like beautifully formed. Incredible shapes. That's Metal Master territory. Not this caveman you see working here. All right, so now we have that piece of paper. We have that piece of sheet represented. All right, so I already screwed it up. I told you it's going to be a learning process. I think I'm going to trim this here. So because I was trying to get away with this, as soon as I put the steel on the car, you can see there's no way it's going to make that transition. So let me get the other piece and we'll improve. So in short, now that'll be a template. We learn by making mistakes and using dented pieces of steel. So, yeah, let's try this again. Now, we're going to use this as our line, but we're going to want it to transfer up into that other piece. So, let's just do this. Let's try that out. One day. Have a table. That's trash. Starting to look like my old shop though, huh? Lots of chaos.
I thought that.
Feels like home. All right, same thing with a little bit looser margins. There's a few other things he said about keeping the material perfectly clean. Using virgin material. This ain't that kind of workshop. Yeah, maybe I will clean a little bit. How can you have clean material when you live in the sandbox?
Did you know you can get butt facials? Like, you know how people get facials like on their face?
Is there a kissing joke somewhere in here?
You can get butt facials. Seriously, I just saw it on Instagram. It said, girls, are you ready for summer? Get your butt facial here.
Well, all right. Now we're in the game. So, if it was me, he said also start by hammering out your panel. He showed me pictures of Ferraris and other really exotic cars in just this, the bag of walnut theory is what they call it. So if you got a bag of nuts, it's going to have some wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this will start to turn into, and then it'll become perfectly smooth. So just because I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to take a ball peen hammer and I'm going to beat this straight down to a heavy crease right through here on the sandbag. Let's try it. Let's just see. Look at this. This thing has been sitting around getting wrinkled up for years. I don't really know which side you're supposed to use. I think I like this one. All right, so this is what I saw. See, it's starting to lift. Put that on the car and see what it looks like. Right? Can you dig it?
Mm-hmm.
But we want this to turn into a bubble this way. And that's kind of shooting through here. This is probably where the impossible. Well, I don't know. Is it impossible? Let's mess around and find out. So I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to try to create a bulge through here. So one thing he showed me, in his infinite wisdom, was a number of different tools. Baseball bat, it's not a joke. This is a definite beginner's metal shaping hammer. You can read about it. When you take a baseball bat, it says every American shaper has one. It works, and it's great for TV.
Play ball.
But I'm not going to use this one. This is good for aluminum and stuff because it's fairly lightweight. But he said the number 2 go-to homemade thing is the top of an acetylene bottle.
Oh, wow.
On the welder, right?
That's cool.
Pipe through. It's a gigantic ball peen hammer.
That was something that Gene, in the video that I did with him when I did the tour, he told me that most of his tools he built himself, like out of like all kinds of crazy things.
Amazing.
Yeah, you guys should check it out. It was a pretty neat part of the video.
So I'm guessing because this is sitting here and the fender is straight through, I'm going to try to bounce a line right across here. I'm going to go easy at first. That one I knew I wanted to make a big dedicated hard edge, but this one I'm just going to kind of... So it's starting to do it. Looking like a bag of nuts to you yet? Starting to. Let's put it on the car and adjust. Okay, now here is where it gets... Oop, I just messed it up. So, he told me, aside from sweating on the material, he told me there's only 2 things you could do. You could shrink it or you could stretch it. So I think we're still in the stretching phase. This is where we're going to run into trouble. I don't know what to do here. I'm wanting to push this down. But I wonder if we just stretch this up. Because we're kind of in the plane here. But see, this is where a teacher would help me out. I think, in my naivete, the pressure's on. I think I'm going to work by bringing this up right here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to bang it in this area. And if you cannot feel the self-confidence diminishing by the millisecond, then you might not be on the same channel as me. Put it on the car and see what it does. No, that did something. I'm really feeling this here. But I know it's broad strokes in the beginning. It's like you have to really just beat some sense into it. But how do we get that? We put that on the table. He told me do not underestimate the power of just doing that, pushing on it, and just trying to form the whole sheet. See, look, it's a little bit closer now. So how do we feel about that? Is it in the ballpark? I think this could be a little more voluptuous. Let's take that for a ride on the big bopper. This, I don't know, this might be too complicated, but let's take a look again. So I feel like I want to push this down. So maybe we'll put that on the bag and try to work that. So it's definitely starting to take some kind of form.
I just had a major aha moment.
Glad one of us did, because I'm lost.
Well, I always wondered why there were so many hammer marks or whatever in these shapes that were formed. So they hammer it out and then they smooth it out with the English wheel?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So if you're just making a very simple shape, the English wheel on the fender you saw works fine.
Yeah.
But this is a hard push.
Yeah, and then you put it in there and then that's why like Scotty B or Scotty Chops uses the power hammer. Like when we watch his videos and like
Same
people that
idea.
shape the metal.
He's stretching,
Okay.
yeah.
Makes sense.
And they have all different shapes that go on those hammers. As just like for the English wheel, you know, he gave me this rack. Look at this.
Yeah.
He gave me this rack of different dies. So that's what we're going to explore. Like, what do we do with that?
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
he gave me a bunch of other stuff too.
Wow. But okay. Sorry. Oh, I'm
just
not sorry. I was
just a mere beginner. That's what he said. Just use very broad strokes. Just beat it into shape. But this, look at that. It's really tense, and I don't know what to do there. So, this is starting to look like something. I feel like I want to bring this up so this moves over a little bit. How do we accomplish that? Maybe with a dolly and a hammer. Let me try this. Because I think I'm going to want to stretch this out. Then I want to try to push that up and over. There's these things called T-bars, I think, or T-dollies that would probably work optimally here. So you try to find the radius or the shape that you're trying to mimic with the hammer, and see, that's pretty nice right through there, right? Mm-hmm. But it has this casting mark because it's a cheap tool. So I'm going to sand this on that machine and try to refine it a little bit. See how imperfect it is? It's very low through here. So you're only going to get the results that the tool offers. So on these T-dollies, I've seen these edges rounded out. So I'm going to try to flatten this off perfectly, or maybe just a little concave. I'm sorry, right now it's concave. I'll try to make it a little convex and round on the edges. All right, so that looks reasonably close for what we're up to. But like you're saying with Gene Winfield, this, yeah, you're making your own tool. I'm just gonna hit this on the finer belt and then we'll put it on the vise.
Well, because that's something that I had never thought about. And then when he showed me all those tools, it's like, well, back in yesteryear when he was creating custom cars,
didn't
like
have it.
all these products didn't exist, all these tools, all these things. So he just made them. And it was so interesting.
All right, good enough for the limited amount of talent we have in the shop today. All right, so we could put that here. I might reverse it, let's see. But the idea being this radius, if this thing doesn't crack in half because it's a cheapy tool, will transfer. Okay, so with this line, I'm trying to get the metal to move up. See how this radius, like it's going past the line and up. I'm going to try to sneak it more towards the line by laying it on here, giving it the hammer. So see, this is going to start to take that lumpy look out of it. A couple marks. So it looks like I'm here, coming down to there. I'm sure there's a proper tool that looks like a divider that you could use that for, but we're just learning. I'm gonna try to bring the hammer marks right to that to smooth that out. So I'm feeling how it's landing on that dolly. Said that steel is a lot harder to form than aluminum, but you can see how it's become a little smoother. See what that looks like. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice.
Looks great.
Yeah. Okay. So now what do we do about this? How do we bring this down? We want to move this whole thing. We're going to wrap that. I'm thinking we're just going to try to hammer that corner down, maybe on the bag. Just, I think if I crease it, it might be game over. I don't know. We're gonna try. Because I think if I would want to stretch this, and now the old me would just make a couple slices through here and allow that to roll over. But the new me, like if this was clay, I'd want to go smear and just bring that over. So we want to stretch that. And if I had a stretching tool, I would do that.
Oh, you gave your stretcher to Alan, didn't you?
Well, I have this. Shrinker. So how would you stretch it? Would I just put it on the bag and bludgeon it? Any votes from the audience? Would you try to stretch that? You have any ideas?
I have no idea. Sorry about that. I can't help you on this one, darling. It's all on you.
So I love that.
In front of your live studio audience.
Hey, I'm honest. I'd love to use the bag, but I feel like if I did that, like it might just like push the sand out of the way or tear the bag. I'm thinking like, what if there's a rubber block? Because the steel, you know, that's, I don't like to bang steel on steel that much. but I think the rubber would allow it to stretch. Let's try this. We're trying to move it, not harden it per se, right? So if I had that, then like, would that stretch it? Because we want to turn this down. Oh, look, it took the kink out. Be still, my heart. Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, I want to push that. Definitely turn it. See what it looks like. Oh yeah, no, it's doing it. Wants the crease right here though. But this is starting to get closer, see? It's, like I said, like if it was clay, I'd want to smear it right onto that. So I think I'm gonna get a rubber hammer and I'm gonna hit it on the car, see what happens. I say it a lot as a welder, like you can't have enough clamps, and he was saying as a metal former, like you cannot have enough hammers and dollies. Like there's something for everything you want to accomplish. Yes, sir. So I don't want to deform this, so I'm going to put a wedge in here. So this will become somewhat of a dolly once I support that. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Now we're trying to tell this metal, we want you to do this. Hi-ya. Hi-ya. I can't believe that just worked.
Are you seeing this?
How can I represent the face of honest surprise? All right, so we got a lock right here. I'm going to take advantage of that. Have to work on that a bit. Now we want to move that down. All right, I'm going to dress this up on that T-dolly right here because I think I can cut this off. That's a lot of material hanging out. So, you know, this down here wants to control everything that's happening up here because this is not stretched. So if we say, okay, well, we only want X amount of metal to deal with, then we can form all of that. See, that's starting to get weird. Trim this off and we'll hit that back into shape. I have seriously never created a panel this complex. I'm as surprised as you.
I knew you could do it.
Oh, thanks. Sometimes that's all you need. A little bit of faith from your editor-in-chief. I'm going to put that on the T-dolly and hit it with a rubber hammer. It's going to put it right back into shape. I might trim this the same now. You know, like the house of cards scenario where you're building the house of cards and then it all tumbles? I feel like we're approaching that point and I'm trying not to let it fall apart. So Yeah, it looks like, in looking here, this is the only area that I'm struggling with space-wise. So it looks like I can come in like this on a first cut and still be safe. And that'll allow us that same forming potential down here. Bill said you're going to get really excited when you start to figure this out. And I think I'm approaching that point.
I'm telling you, I think you could build an entire car with no body filler. I know you could.
Oh,
I know you could.
imagine.
Got to break that habit.
It's like chewing tobacco, right? Just one more can won't hurt.
I know you could with your time and patience. And yeah, I foresee something like that in your future. You heard it here first.
All right, so we want to stretch that just like we stretched that. So if we turn this, let's take a look on the car now. I'm going to try to give it a little bit of manipulating like that. It's close. It's so close I could taste it. All right, so this, now we're losing it here, see? So I gotta take that rubber hammer and try to move this over. I want to take this and mellow that out. There it is, just went. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, right there. So that's the issue here. When I hit on the dolly, it increased the radius, so it grew, but now we're back in action. I'm going to take the hard hammer, the metal hammer, and try to round that, get that locked. Yes, it's moving it over, exactly. Trying to get a definite dead end to that. So it's locked and it's locked. All right, so I think I want to, like we smeared that one, I want to bring that down. So I want to stretch this. So to stretch it, would I just put it on the rubber block and wallop it? So that will stretch it, but it's going to cause a potato chip. That's what term that he used. It's going to chip it this way. But I want to stretch it this way. Right? Boom. I don't know. You can always unstretch it. I'm going to hit a piece of steel separate from this and see what it does.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Because we're getting close. I don't want to destroy that.
Right.
So I think if I hit it like this, let's see, it chips it. So it does stretch it. So it's causing it to curve down. That's what we want that to do. So we want this to curve down. So I'm going to hit it upside down. I think I might be getting a little too tight in here. Let's see. But it's definitely turning that down. Oh yeah. Def. Alright, so we're getting a little bit weird through here because this piece wasn't exactly perfect. So I think we're going to want to stay somewhere in a little bit straighter like that. Again, this is not perfection, this is learning, and I know that that's going to give us trouble. But so we push that down, but it's still got to come up. So let's reverse that. Now that we got this really hard banged out edge, just try to bring this back up to that. Doing that, we're going to hit it on this side. Not so violently. It'd be pretty cool in making tools. I might make a little holster for this so it doesn't jump around. If I was to ever try this again. Now it's coming back up. See, I don't like to bang metal on metal a lot, but that works. Yeah, look at that. We're getting closer. All right, so I feel like I want to take like a hatchet or something. I don't know if I could just do that. I want to put that down. I have this chipping hammer. It's for slag, from arc welding. You chip the slag off, but I had flattened the end on that. And this, but there's kind of a, I don't know if you can catch that on the camera. It's a little beat up, so I'm going to round this off in the sander and try to create that little shape we need. All right, so I got this nice little polished tool. Same thing. Any imperfections in this, you're just going to make that shape in the piece you're beating on. So see, I want that to be right in here. Okay, here we go. It's getting close. Yeah, look at that. This can be brought together pretty easily. All right, now, everybody calm down. Everybody just take a breath. I'm going to put a tech screw, self-tapping screw, in there and hold it down. We're all going to stand back and take a breath.
That looks really good.
All right, so, yeah, I can see that this fender line, it's kind of doing this. It's like making a big S, so I'm not even worried about this mismatch. You can always piece that back in. So I want that right there. This will be a perfect thing because you always make different reference points. Cool. So I like that, I like that, I like that. That'll work right there. Okay. I'm going to put a clamp on that, and then we're going to stand back and see what we need to improve on. Maybe I should just put a tack screw right there. Yeah, let me do that. Cool. Cool. All right, so another envisioning tool. It's a TIG welding rod, 1/8 inch. It's aluminum. So this is kind of, again, to the sculpting term, right? It's like, okay, so we got this line coming up, right? And you got this cool feature, and like, this is all cool, right? I'm feeling that. You know, again, if you got clay and you're just trying to smush it in the shape. I feel like this is just about perfect. This needs some work. Like, I could see this wanting to be a little bit bulbous on top, and then that I want to flatten out a bit. So I'm going to take the flat steel hammer, and I'm just going to give a little rat-a-tat-tat right through this lane here. Take some of this crown out. Right on the car. All right, so now this is pinned. It's held in place. And see, I'm trying to drop that. I'm trying to get this. I'm not even paying attention to my marker line anymore. I'm looking at this tube, and this is weird right through here. So see, I need to bring, this is dished that way just a little bit. So see, that'll help right there, but I don't think I can hit it on the car. Cool, okay, so now we have our landing points. That's all cool. We're gonna wanna bring this up. We're gonna wanna bubble this up. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to put on the sandbag. And I'm going to work this corridor. Put a marker on that. So just to say, I want to kind of come in through here. All right, that's what we decided. Now we're going to flip it. We got our lane. And I'm going to work through there. All right, I'm going to put this on the English wheel. Because I am that guy, Mr. Short Stepper. I just had an idea. I could put that on a wheel and just go.
I see you've decorated your English wheel with
Yeah, so
tumbleweed.
in keeping with the desert theme, we've invited one of our paid actors to be in the room today. They just stopped by. They tend to they move about the desert on their own will, so compose with the Cadillac. All right, so where were we? We were here. And we're going to want to tighten this down. We're going to want to start to take some of that clunky hammer shape out of this. We're going to want to give it some shape like this too. We want to push down, bring that right in. We're going to want to reverse. I want to take these shapes out. All right, let's not get too far along. But see, it's taking some of that big, heavy hammer marks out. Yeah, so it's doing what we want. I'm going to take the wheel and I'm going to force this down a little bit more. Working right through here, bring that down. And I'm going to work through here, just to smooth it out. That contour is just about perfect. It's interesting. He said you walk into a forming shop with all the power hammers and it's just machine smoke and the English wheel is almost silent. It does the same thing. All right, look at that. I'm really starting to feel something now. Pull that down. All right, let's put it on. It's starting to look a little better. So we want this to turn down like that. Yeah. All right. So the thing is, how do we clean up all this mess? With a very thin dolly, very thin T dolly, I think. See, it's all, what would you call that? Warbly burbly?
Warbly burbly sounds about right.
So we're looking for a shape. Looking for a shape that'll fit in there and not change our overall dimensions. So I don't know, we're gonna try a few things. I have this hammer with that end, which should work this out fairly well. I have that one I just sanded. I think might even be a better candidate. And then I got this little pick. So I think I'm just gonna put it on that big anvil and just try to work it. Now, we want to get upside down, and I think that dolly is too big a radius. Let's compare. So look in here.
Mm-hmm.
So see, it fits right here. It's too big around. We need something that's smaller. So there's this end. But what if I took, no, what could I could use that hammer. So I can use this as the dolly. I believe I can clamp that right there. Because I want to take this like that. That's just a little bit too small, but it is helping. What I'm doing, I can hear when it's hitting or not. So I'm using that, like I'm just listening and looking at the reflection. I can tell when it's hitting the dolly because it's smooth enough. Now we need to get in here at the flat again. This is a little bit convex. I wonder if I can use that. No, I need that switch on this one. Yeah, that should do it. Flip this and put it in something like that. This lady gave me these. She's a jewelry maker. These are pieces of railroad track that are her jewelry anvils. She said, look, you got all these different contours. So I'm gonna dress this one. Look at that nice tight little radius. I'm gonna put this on the belt sander and use that. If you've seen some of the other work I've done, you could say, oh man, you're done. Put body filler on it, right? And this will have filler. It's nowhere near. It's just showing the continued refinement of this. So I'm going to take this now. Yeah, now we're cool. Take this out. Definitely tell us that is in the wrong shape. Right, let's see where we're. So it went from the bag of lumps to this. That's still a little bit wonked right in there. Let's take this. Oh, look at that. So much nicer. Heck yes. So that's our problem area right here. Look how it creased. But that's going to be really easy to fix. We're going to put that right on the anvil and knock it back into shape. Boom. That's just a lot of stress from all the work we're doing. A lot of stress makes a very rigid panel. So here when it makes contact, it rings, right? That's when you know you've gone as far as you can. I'm going to take these marks off with the lacquer thinner. I'm going to take all that Sharpie marker off. Just a good look at what we've accomplished, right?
Wow.
So this definitely needs work. Let's just get in there for a quick minute. All right, so for the finale, I'm going to use that vise. This is perfectly flat, and this one over the years, it's got a bit of a dish to it. So I'm going to use that just to work that out a little bit. Without flattening it. I think I'm just going to flatten it. I think I'm going to give it the right, so for a first try, that's usable. Knowing now what I didn't know then was I should have left 1/2 inch more here. Not a deal breaker. You know, I'll put some material under there and I'll finish weld all that, but that's the only critique I would give. I can't express how concerned I was about that. And look at that, if that didn't just come together.